Most e-com brands don't fail because the product is bad. They often fail because the ads that they're making, the way that they're positioning their brand, does not really speak to a feeling. People don't buy products, they buy feelings. And that could involve relief, a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, and a sense of status. Hey guys, I'm Wes. I help e-com brands scale faster with conversion-focused ads. And I've been doing this thing for 5 years. And in that past 5 years, we've made thousands and thousands of ads. And so we know a little bit of a thing or two when it comes to making high converting creatives. And we've spent over 20 million in ad revenue for multiple brands. And so we're quite confident when it comes to going back to the fundamentals, which is what we're going to be doing today. So the first one we're going to be talking about in terms of hidden psychology trigger is FOMO. You've heard this before, fear of missing out. Another way of saying it in the marketing terms, marketing speak, is adding scarcity into your messaging. So there's multiple ways that you can do it. So you can do it with time, there's quantity, there's demand, and also there's exclusivity. So let's talk about the time first. You can have time scarcity or time FOMO, which is, you see it all the time in Black Friday, Cyber Monday season, and also holiday season, which is sale ends at midnight, or sale ends on Monday, or sale ends in 24 hours. Any way where we can squeeze a time frame, it's going to push people to convert a little bit higher than it's not present. Another way to do it is quantity. So you can say only 50 left, 49 left. If you're a service-based business, it could be there's only 2 seats left. If you're a product-based business, you could say either limited quantities or we've only ordered like two boxes and they're flying off the shelves. Another way is actually exclusivity. Really is more of a members only access. So it is fear of missing out in a way that when people see other people have access to a certain thing that they don't have access to, it creates, it raises the value of that thing that the other person has access to, because if only certain people have it, then it must be really, really valuable. It's demand scarcity, which ties into social proof. If there's 10,000 other people that are using it, then it means that it is really valuable. Now, fear of missing out is really, really important because it signals to other people that whatever this thing that we're trying to sell is really, really valuable, because they cannot get it infinite amount of time or infinite amount of quantities. People are opportunistic by nature. And so the value of your product goes up if there's a scarcity tied to it. And the second one, which I touched on a little bit earlier, is social proof. People trust people. We trust what other people trust. In my opinion, this has been so overdone in DTC. But there are other ways that you can still approach social proof in a way that it feels authentic and also it feels natural. The problem with DTC in general with this is UGC videos have been so popular in the past, I would say half a decade. 5 years ago, nobody even touched UGC, but nowadays it's so popular. And so if you want to use social proof, you have to do it in a very non-traditional way. And what's funny is that how you used to do social proof is now the non-traditional way of doing it, which is you give out your product into a random person and just let them review it. Now, of course, that depends on the ticket price of your product. But if your ticket price is pretty low, then I don't see any reason to not give it to, 5 or 10 people to use it and then give you authentic reviews so that you can use that for social proof. The problem right now is that because of the prevalence of AI, which I'm totally in for, is that people are even faking their UGC reviews. And I think that we've lost the sauce at that point. It's like we're basically trying to scam people. That's the point. But you can still have authentic reviews just by having real people without scripts, without any guide to your products, talk about your product. And that's how you get authenticity, and also that's how you get novelty about your product in terms of your ads. A great way that we do this in-house in our agency is, instead of giving our creators a strict script, we give them a brief that is very loose. So we allow the creativity of that person on the other end that's receiving it to flourish. And so we can find new angles where we didn't think it would have been possible before, because a creative strategist or two creative strategists are just two heads, and and why not use the creativity of another person who's not involved in that process? Like, they have insights on how to use it and what's the feeling of using it as well. So I think that's going to be really, really important. The third one is what I'm going to call vacation, not the flight. So this psychology trigger is called transformation trigger, and we use this a lot, but it's actually not as popular as you think it could be in the DTC world. So what I mean by this is, when we are trying to sell a product, we are actually not selling that product, we're selling the result of that product. So a good example is the title itself, which is vacation, not flight. When you're selling a vacation, you're not trying to sell the flight to that vacation. You're not trying to sell a 6-hour flight to Costa Rica or to Argentina, probably more than that. But you're not trying to sell the flight. You're trying to sell the experience of the vacation. Yeah, like the flight gets you there. And so how does that translate into product? When we sell product, we want to sell the end result of it. So what does it feel to have that product when either you wear it or you use it? Who is the type of person who would be transformed into when that product is used? Instead of having a list of features that this product is good because of X, it's great because of X, it's better than X, and it's priced at X. Those things are, it's good at times, but at the end of the day, people are buying the vacation. They're buying the result, not the vehicle to get to that vacation. If that makes sense. The fourth one is curiosity, and I love sourcing curiosity from TikTok and Instagram, and I think the best people who can tap into curiosity are content creators by nature. So if you watch Reels or Facebook videos, which most people do, if you're perpetually online, you've seen like curiosity-based hooks. What I mean by that is, watch this person do this. We don't really reveal the product. We don't really reveal what's happening first, because we want to have people stay until we reveal the product. So it has this feeling of reward by the middle or by the end of the video. Humans can't really stand not knowing something, and so they will stay to wait until they know what happens. If you watch like Mr. Beast videos, if you watch big YouTuber videos, they would tease the end in the beginning. They would wait, and then they would get you to watch the entire thing and then have the reveal in the end. Now, how do we use this in the ad terms? What I like to do with this is a curiosity loop, where you can start with, this creative strategy is something that people are not using. So it could be a better copy than that, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we're not revealing it first. We're trying to hide the product. We can still reveal the result, as in if we're talking about acne, we can say like, teenagers cleared their acne with this revolutionary product. So that is delaying the gratification. We don't reveal the product right away, which is counterintuitive in terms of direct response e-commerce. But trust me, people will want to discover something. And then the fifth one is a authority bias. People trust expert, and credibility really sells. Like a UGC creator is wearing a white coat. You would immediately think that that person knows more than you because they look like a doctor. Now, I'm not going to say that, you should just work with UGC creators and you should fake doctors in general. But I would say use the profession of these creators, because most creators have a 9-to-5. And so you can try to find out what they're good at, what they're expert at, and you can leverage that as an ad angle. So a good example for this is, we used to work with a nurse who knew a lot of things when it comes to shoes. And so what we did is, we, instead of shoehorning our script into something that they can just regurgitate, we gave her a really loose brief, again, going back to allowing authenticity and allowing creativity. We gave her a script to just execute. We gave very general instructions, like, tell us why this is a good thing. Use your own experience as a nurse. Use your own experience as working in healthcare. Why is this important for other nurses and also for other people? And so the front of it, where that person says, I'm a nurse, you should listen to me, that adds a lot of authority into whatever she's saying. She could be saying the same thing as another UGC creator, but just by having a bit of authority on the subject really sells the product. It sells the emotion and also the result of that product. I love using this for not just for professions, but also for founder UGC ads. So you see a lot of founders now hopping in front of the camera, talking about why they think their brand is the best, which I love, because the founder has the most authority when it comes to talking about that product because it's theirs. Another way that you can do that if your founder doesn't want to do that is employee generated content. So you can actually ask your employees to talk about your product. Then the sixth one is simplicity bias. I'm going to put an asterisk here because it really depends on the sophistication level of your customer. What I mean by that is, for example, when you're working in the acne industry, most people who are shopping for acne solutions and serums already know what acne feels like, what are the other options out there, just because it's so competitive. And so your sophistication level, if you talk to them, doesn't necessarily have to be at the grade 3, grade 4 level, although it would still be effective. But because they already know what the subject is, they have a lot of expertise on that subject. And so you want to speak to them where they are at. So you want to meet them at a higher level. And I would also put an asterisk on this because too simple could mean too generic. And so we want to strike a balance here. But if your niche is somewhere it's not too occupied, doesn't have a lot of competitors, then I would say simplicity is always the gold. The seventh one is novelty bias. And I love this one because it's almost universal to every e-com brand out there. If you have multiple variations and you can make multiple variations of the same best-selling, best mover product, because people love new things. They crave newness. And any way where we can tap into that feeling of they're getting something new, something improved, a different version, they feel like they have progressed either as a customer and also as a person. Again, like we're trying to sell the identity. And so anytime that we give a new product, then we are reinforcing that identity. Or you would have to be really, really cognizant about the identity here, because if you come out with a product that is completely unrelated from the first one, then it will likely flop because you're not speaking to your avatar. But you always want to reinforce that avatar, that identity that you're talking to. Another thing about novelty bias is people love being the first person to get access to things. And so when we're releasing a new product or a new SKU or a new variation, we always want to have like an early access to give a sense of novelty to the person who are one, your most avid customers that are watching you, and second is novelty keeps your brand feel alive, like it's growing. So those are the 7 triggers. Now there are multiple dozens, probably even hundreds out there. Some of you guys might say that these are too basic, but again, like as somebody who's working in the industry for half a decade, I would go back to the basics, to the fundamentals whenever I am running out of ideas, because sometimes when we get too much in the sauce of DTC marketing, you're looking at these AI tools, you're looking at new ways how to shoot a product. It becomes too much. And sometimes we just have to go back, reel back to the fundamentals. Like, why are we doing all these things? Why these new platforms, these new tools, software, why are we doing this? And at the core of it, it's really just selling that emotion, really selling that result, that identity, that relief, that feeling to to our customer. So these things are simple, but mastering them will take a lifetime. If you want us to take a look at your ad creatives, look at your strategy, we'll do that for free. So you can book a free strategy call on the description.